instruction that you need to do that and everybody else does too, okay? So that's one reason I went through here. Now this Jeep had a brake problem supposedly. She comes in, she's saying, can y'all look at my brake? And so it came for an alignment, and what the driver described as a brake pulsation that keeps pulsating even after I let off the brakes. Even after you let off the brakes, she still feels it pulsating, okay? Now, have you ever felt a brake pulsation that kept pulsating even when you let off the brakes? You ever done that? Can you give me some ideas here, what you got there? Sounded kind of anomalous, like something that was unusual, like it wasn't what you would ordinarily feel. So she left it with us, and so we grabbed one of the people, we launched our diagnosis, and first thing we noticed, we started it in the service bay, was it had a really high idle. What? Exactly, what does it really? But I mean, that's just something I noticed, you know what I'm saying? This is the point. Whenever somebody brings something in, especially for a problem that's peculiar like this, and you notice something else, pay attention. You know, don't just say, well, yeah, you know. Now, sometimes you can rake it off the table and say, that's not going to have nothing to do with it. But then other times you may be surprised when you run into what the problem is. I wondered if the foot feed was fouled by a wrinkled up floor mat. I've seen that before. Wrinkled up floor mat catching the foot feed and pushing it a little bit, you know. So sent my guy to fetch a scan tool. He retrieved the DTCs and found a PO455. Now, this is something that wouldn't have nothing to do with this. PO455 is a high leak. Like if somebody left a gas cap off, it'd be like a high volume evaporative leak. And you know, all these things have got, these Jeeps and Dodges and stuff have got a lot of rubber hoses like to crack on them and stuff like that, so that's not an unusual code to get on that. So we proceeded to hack into the live data, and we noticed right away the reported throttle position sensor voltage was higher than the baseline minimum, and we didn't have our foot on the gas. And the, you know, the mat wasn't on the pedal either. Uh-oh. Okay, so here's what happens here. As you turn on your key, the PCM looks at the TP sensor, right? All right, and it writes that base in there, right? So it stores the closed voltage. That's why it's a good idea to leave the gas pedal alone when you're starting it up, unless you feel like you need to go to the wide open throttle for clear flood mode or whatever. And that's what most people are used to. They don't touch the gas anymore. When you drove it with a carburetor where you had to set the choke, you had to touch the gas. Nowadays, the way the thing's set up, you're supposed to leave it alone, so when you turn it on, it'll see what closed throttle is, because it needs to know. All right, so now here's the Jeep brake problem thing. So what we've got here is we got TPS volts 1.37. Minimum TPS is 0.84. What the heck's that doing up there? All right, so IAC steps are 29. Target IAC steps are 29. That means it's actually got it idled up because this is higher than that. So anytime TP is above the closed voltage, the throttle angle is considered part throttle. The PCM handles things differently when TP is at PT. You got that? All right, so as long as the TPS is considered to be at part throttle, the idle air control will remain that way, which makes for a fast idle in non-electronic throttle body systems, even with the throttle plate closed. You'll get, so here's the throttle plate right here. And you'll basically have air that'll be bypassing the throttle plate, which makes it idle faster, because that's meter air and all. But anyway, after a moment or two, and of course on this one it's got a MAP sensor, not a mass airflow. But anyway, after a moment or two, and we tapped on the throttle, which is a lot of times what you'll do to try to get one dialed down. It normalized, so we backed out of the shop and went on a test drive. Now listen to this. When we had cleared the runway, wheels up and locked, we were flying. We reached cruising speed and slowed at the first turnaround to check out the brake pulsation. Didn't feel a brake pulsation, but we did feel the engine laboring as you slowed down. Like it was, you know, you drive a stick when you got it in too high of a gear. We felt that. Transmission was in high gear, continued to quiver, and also the torque converter was still locked up. Continued to quiver and labor even after we let off the brake, and then it dropped back into low gear when we were almost stopped. We duplicated the concern. Wasn't a brake problem. So we had put the TPS reading like it was, the reason that maybe the engine controller doesn't know they let off the gas and it's keeping it up in the higher gear. And we knew that we had a reading we didn't like, so let's go put a TP sensor on it. I mean, this is easy to get to, it's just right there, you know what I'm saying? All right, so what happened though, we had a Zach problem here. This thing right here, the first screw came out just fine, the next one ruined two Torx bits, wouldn't move. And we pulled the throttle body off and went to work on it with it in the vise. We ground the head off the screw and got the TP sensor off, but even when we heated the boss with a propane torch, and you can see where we turned it black, the screw still wouldn't budge. So you got Loctite in there and you heat that metal up, and the Loctite's supposed to release, like it's plastic stuff, you know, but Loctite turns hard. But the heat gun, you know, which I don't even know where it is now. I was looking for it the other day. Somebody put it in a different spot or something. The heat gun turned it loose and we got the screw out. We managed to put another screw back in there. But that pair of vice grips would not turn that screw. I mean, it was that doggone hard. And I tell you what's even worse, if it pops off smooth and clean, then you're going to have to drill something. You know what I'm saying? So anyway. So the TP sensor fixed it all. Took care of the fast idle, took care of the transmission problem. You'll also see mass airflow sensors do this kind of hogwash on transmission issues. So not only did the idle normalize, but the transmission game set and match. We were through. You know, and we did like Zach. We said, I did that. All right. This is Justin's new toolbox in his old truck. He bought this new toolbox.
He upgraded it.
Just like this weekend. All right. He just graduated in December, went to work at the dealer of his choice. He went to work at the dealer where he wanted to go to work. And you know, we set it up, he got to work over there. He shows up every day, works hard all day. He did that when he was here. He was here before anybody else. And he worked all day long and he never missed a day of class as far as I remember. Right? All right, he's proved himself in his new job at the dealer. He's intelligent enough to buy the best box he can pay cash for. He did not have to finance this toolbox. And yeah, it came from Harbor Freight. But he walked in, he put cash on the counter, and he walked out with a toolbox and some other tools. Less than $1,000, he was set. You see, he needed a toolbox. And if you grab these drawers, they got roller slides on them. They feel real good. You've been there, haven't you? You've seen them toolboxes? I mean, heck, I don't know where they're made, but they look like decent toolboxes. If I'm starting out, keep me off the Snap-on truck. You know, one time this truck mechanic was training a young guy at the Ford place when I was working over there, and that young guy was all had stars in his eyes about buying this little bitty box of Snap-on tools for $3,000, a box and a few tools. And what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? All right, so anyway, he's not running a high tab on the tool truck. He's being smart. You can get in trouble, man. Every time that tool guy comes around, he's holding out, want 40, 50 bucks. That hurts. Week after week after week, you know. All right. So this was just this week. He said, I pulled 2 motors this week along with some other stuff that comes in. The first one was a 543 valve and an F-150. That exhaust manifold stud broke off in the head, took the body off, and then the motor put everything back together and ran good and went out the door. Did it quick. Second one was a Taurus with no compression. This is nearly a brand new car. Pulled it out, did a leak test, and sure enough, won't hold pressure in the cylinder. Time and slipped on bent valve, waiting on the hotline to tell us what they want to do since the car's under warranty. This is the kind of stuff they're giving him to do now. He's proved himself and he's getting a pay raise and all this kind of stuff. And you know, like I say, you know, within a fairly short period of time, if you go there every day, you do what they tell you to, and you do your work without comebacks, you're gold, man. You know what I mean? Because it's really hard to find anybody down there. He had it together in school, and having it together at work was an easy transition. See what I'm saying? Showed up every day, on time, worked all day, did whatever I told him to do. If you don't have your priorities right in school, you'll have to change a lot when you go to work, or you won't last. So some days just aren't fun.
That last night.
Some days aren't fun. Some days smack you around. Don't watch the clock. Deal with it, do your job, and work through it. Right? All right, now, what's wrong with this picture?
That piece of metal scraping against it.
What do you think?
Same thing. That's what it looked like to me.
What do you think? Everybody look careful, you're missing it. You're missing it. Everybody's missing it.
The brake pad's on.
Nope.
One side.
Nothing wrong with the way the brake pad's on there.
The rotor's shaved down.
This is clogged up with mud. Don't you think that's going to make the rotor run hot?
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Now, it's difficult to see in that picture. If you were standing there looking at the car, you'd see it.
Oh,
But if these cooling fins are clogged up with mud, that is bad news. Don't turn this on, it's getting hot in here.
How do you get that out? I mean, do we just replace the rotors?
Wash it out. You can, take it, you can take the rotor off and go out there and hit it with the water hose and wash it down there. All right, what's wrong with this one?
This is laid up.
They wore the brakes out so bad that the piston came slam out of the caliper. Now, it won't always do that, but on this one it did. That was on a Chevy S10, is what that was. And this is not pictures I got off the internet. This is pictures we took here, okay? All right. What's wrong with that one?
The rubber seals broke on.
We got all this dirt in here. Would you just put a set of pads on that and let it go? I don't think so. What do you think?
Oh,
What's wrong with that one?
It's always up
We're talking about a leaking wheel cylinder. And we're talking about it's leaked enough to where it's caused this brake dust to bunch up right there. Plus them brake shoes ain't really in the best shape either. So what do you do with this? You wash it down with brake parts cleaner or your brake washer thing, and go to town with that. All right, what about this one?
this is dusty.
Look at the linings. Do you see any linings? I don't. The linings are gone. Completely off of there. That's going to, see this one here ain't got no leaking fluid. I mean, although if you pull them boots back, you may see some fluid in there. But it's leaking, it ain't leaking that bad. But basically, it has worn them completely down to nothing. All right, now that's not a really good picture, but what do you think about that? This right here, you don't know if that's brake fluid or axle grease. You really don't. The only way you can tell is the taste of it.
Oh,
Brake fluid's got a distinctive taste to it. All right, like antifreeze. You see something dripping on the floor and you don't know if it's the air conditioner, evaporator drain, or antifreeze from this leak, from this job you just done, you better touch it to your tongue, taste of it. Now you can spit it out, you ain't gonna hurt yourself like that, but you know what it is. That's the point. All right, what about this one here? You gotta look careful at this one. Now you see that's nice and shiny right there. What else are you noticing?
it ain't down in there, is it?
Ain't no brake pad in there.
I see the wrist.
They wore it out so bad that the backing plate got so thin that it came out of there. And we took the wheel off and found this. Nobody'd been there that they'd worn the brakes out that bad. All right, what's wrong with this picture? This is what we opened the hood on a 2007 Chevy Silverado and saw this as soon as we opened the hood. And it had just come from a dealer somewhere. Not one close by around here, but it had come from a dealer. You know what this is, right?
Light bulb?
Well, it's a little, this is actually the fluid level sensor is what that is.
A light bulb.
Yeah, it sort of does, but I mean, basically it goes up in there and then there's the float reacts with this. All right, it had been at one of the local, well, I say local, it wasn't that local, it was a GM dealer, but it wasn't the one that close by here. And they have the power steering pump replaced and it came to us with all that stuff swinging loose. And that wasn't anchored and this was swinging and all that. Fluid level sensor by the master cylinder and line connector wasn't re-anchored or even routed right. And this is what we saw, and it's a good idea to open the hood when you're working on something and look around to see what you see, and pay attention. Come on. Come on. I guess I'm gonna have to do it with my button.
On that white Chevy, it's got a harness laying there from it.
Huh?
On that white Chevy out there, it's got a harness laying.
Yep. You got that right. Yeah, you need to fix that too. All right, what do you see here? What's wrong with this picture?
The right front wheel's going 21 miles per hour, but the vehicle's only going 2.
All right, so what does that cause? Would you think that would activate your traction control because it thinks that that tire's spinning when it's not? It had to have a bearing and a sensor, and a wheel speed sensor. For some reason. There we go. Now this one here came in our door with a low power concern. Another shop had pinpointed the problem as a fuel pump. But to me it felt like a misfire. Got that? Even with a misfire, the truck drove like there was something holding it back. All right, brakes had a nasty pulsation. We pulled it into the service bay. I could feel heat radiating from the front rotor. You ever walk by the brakes and feel the heat coming off of them? You got that? And my temperature gun showed the disc were at 450 degrees. That's some pretty heavy temperature, isn't it? All right, among other things, the park brake cables were locked up. These brake shoes were a disaster area. Pays to look at everything when you're doing a brake. Don't let anything get by you because there could be some liability there. Don't miss anything, you know what I mean? And when you're doing back brakes, make sure you adjust those brake pads to where they're the right distance from the drum so that you don't have to mash the brake and move it a long way and then mash the brake again to get the rest of the stroke. You want to be able to mash the brake and then not have to move hardly at all, so that's why it's important to adjust them when you're putting them back in there. Now, this is really a big ugly picture of some rusty lines. But this truck had been driven repeatedly through high water and mud and left to stew in those juices. Whenever you drive it through the water and you park it and that water just sits there in places where it can't get out of, it makes a rusty mess. The wheel cylinders need to be replaced. Thanks to the road hardened put up wet, the flare nuts where the brake lines fed the wheel cylinder were frozen solid. You will not get those things off of there sometimes. You ever had that? Especially if you work up north. One thing about you're going to find about Ron's place over there, he will not buy any vehicle that's been up north. He only has southern vehicles. If you open the hood, and you know this aluminum stuff, how it has this little chalky stuff on it? You know the little chalky stuff you see on the aluminum parts under the hood? If he sees that, he closes the hood and he don't buy that one. That's how particular he is. All right, now, this is not really a very good picture because that was a little fuzzier than that one. But another problem with the flare nuts was they were a size larger on this 94 model than normal. The inside lines were a normal size, but the outside, I mean, the flare nut was bigger, you know, and so we ran into trouble like that. The brake lines are 3/16, but the outside threads on the flare nuts were the size of a 1/4 inch tube and flare nuts. That was a screwed up mess, all right? So, it wasn't as simple as cutting the line, double flaring it, and installing a new flare nut because the new flare nuts we had would not fit those wheel cylinders. Now, wheel cylinders don't cost very much, $8–10 usually, you know. So we had to upgrade the wheel cylinders to a later year model. We went up to like the 97 or 98 model, and that solved the flare nut issue. The line's the same size, and everything else was virtually the same. By 1998, Ford had downsized the threads in a wheel cylinder so that normal aftermarket replacement brake lines could be used. Okay, brake lines are little because they got to carry a lot of pressure. If you've got something that's small, you can put more PSI in it because you ain't got a lot of square inches. But the bigger something is, the lower your square inches need to be. I mean, the more square inches you got, the lower your pressure needs to be for that size. That's why great big tires don't need as much PSI as little bitty catgut tires, you know. But anyway, it gets thinner when it rusts and they can fail without warning. I have had brake lines bust on vehicles I was driving before. Hit the brake, all of a sudden it goes to the floor, feels like you're stepping on a plum, truck doesn't stop that good, and you look under there and there's brake fluid dripping where the line went, where you got stuff like this going on. See them rusty brake lines? Bad news, man, you better take it seriously. All right, now, this is how not to repair brake lines. You can look all over the place on the internet, and you can type up how to repair brake lines. And they will show people using these copper tubing unions to repair brake lines. That is a bad bet. Now, you know, you get anecdotal stuff about, well, I've done that for a long time, never had any problem, you know. Some stuff you can try. You know what I mean? But it's not a good idea to try some second-rate patch on a brake line that's liable to cause. There's this one guy told a story about he's working at a filling station. This guy pulled in there and he had blown a wheel cylinder on his Studebaker or whatever it was. And the guy just pulled right on the lift and says, raise this thing up. I got a leaking wheel cylinder. I know how to fix that. And the guy says, okay. So he raised it up and this guy says, let me borrow one of your hammers. And he beat the brake line flat so that no fluid could go to that cylinder, the wheel cylinder was leaking. And so when the guy jumped in his car and backed out, he went on down into the ditch. And the guy from the filling station ran out there and says, what happened? He goes, well, the first 3 times I did this, it worked just fine. He had beat all his brake lines flat. He had a good pedal, but no brakes. That's a true story. All right, this is right. See this? You double flare, You get a double flare union, put it together like that, that's the right way to do it. This is the wrong way to do it. Regardless of what anybody tells you, this is not the right way to fix a brake line.
I've actually seen it before.
I know, I've seen people do it before. It's just not a good plan. Don't even try that. You know what I'm saying? All right, know your flares. This is a bubble flare, and this is a double flare. Bubble versus double, okay? Now, if you try to put this where this goes, it is going to leak. If you try to put that where that goes, you're not gonna like the way it turns out. Occasionally, you may be goofy enough to tighten. You notice how that nut's even made different? See, it's got a step on it that this one doesn't have. These are incompatible with each other. All right, what'd you learn?
Don't make brake lines like that with the little,
The ferrule and the,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Don't
bad.
beat 'em shut with a hammer.
Yeah. Bad news. Don't ever do that. And, well, and don't beat it flat with a hammer. You knew better than that already. There's, brakes are one of the things that we do the most. And you can get so doggone, comfortable with it and think it's just a mindless job and get yourself in a lot of trouble. And what I mean by that is, I've had guys that were in here that did lots of brake jobs and did a really good job at all the brake jobs. And then one day, they would do a brake job and put the pads on backwards with the metal toward the rotor.
That reminds me, before we moved down here, a guy that did my mom and dad's brakes in our van, we drove all the way down from Ohio to Alabama with brakes pads on backwards. We didn't know it until we got here.
Oh, and they were the metal was scrubbing it, yeah. Ouch, okay.
That was scary.
But I mean, you'd be surprised how often that happens. And some of the people that do it are people that do brakes every day. They're just not paying attention to what they're doing, not thinking about it, just, got their head in the clouds and they just putting the stuff on there without even, noticing what the deal is. But anyway, whenever you're doing that, you have to be focused and have presence of mind. You know what I mean? This business of, hey, I've done this a million times. I can look up there with my mouth open and listen to my music on my cell phone while I'm doing it, and you get all wrapped up in something. When you're multitasking, you're not really doing as good a job as you think, because you're having to disengage from one job to do the other one and back and forth, Some people seem like they're better at it than others, but everybody's basically having to switch back and forth from one task to another. We were in welding class in high school. This one guy was, I don't know why he didn't have his glove on, but he was leaning on the bench, where we were doing our welding. How you got a little welding bench here, where you train at. And I had a electrode holder in my hand, and of course a clamp was on that bench. And this guy, he was holding a tape measure, and he turned around, holding on this bench, and the tip of that tape measure hit the tip of that welding rod. And it fired him up good, boy. Now, he did that. I did not do this,
That's a bit off.
yeah,
I still remember that. And later, that guy became the mayor of our town over there, but no, he was smarter than that. But he just happened. It just happened, Anyway.
You shot from there.